Hi, I'm Ashley, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to the start of another reading vlog. So in this vlog, I'm going to be reading a book that I'm really excited for, and that is Five Broken Blades. So this is a new release that just came out at the beginning of May, and this is a fantasy. I believe it's an adult fantasy, and I was definitely drawn to it at first because of the cover and the sprayed edges, which are gorgeous. And then, so the cover and the edges drew me in, and then I read the description on the inside flap, and that also intrigued me as well, so I ended up pre-ordering it from Barnes & Noble. And as the title suggests, this book follows 5 characters who are outcasts and who are liars, who all team up to take down the king, because the king is apparently corrupt and very evil. And so you have a bunch of different characters. There's a hitman, an assassin, a banished prince. So this sounds like it's going to be very intense and a lot of fun. And the whole premise of it, these 5 different characters who all have these different pasts and history, kind of reminds me of the video game Octopath Traveler. Because in that one, you end up playing as 8 different characters, and they each have their storyline, and you go through like all their different pasts and stories. But anyways, I am going to go start this now, and I'll be back with my first thoughts. Hi, so I'm back. It's actually a few days later. I am wearing the same shirt again because I wanted to. And this shirt is actually the 2 characters from the Chinese fantasy drama The Untamed portrayed as bunnies. So I think it's really cute. Anyways, I have made progress in Five Broken Blades. I am on page 134, chapter 18 now. And so I have met all 5 of our characters. First character we meet is Oreo, and he is a hitman. So he became a hitman when he was 15 years old because it was one of the only options that he had if he wanted to survive and live. So that's what he did, and he's now 25. And so one day he receives a mysterious letter from someone that wants to meet him. So he is kind of wary and suspicious, but he goes to meet this person. And it ends up being a girl named Ari, who is 24 years old, and she's a thief, and she's another one of the main characters. And she wants to hire him as a bodyguard. And she herself has been hired for a job to steal the crown from the king's head. And the king in this book, he is horrible, evil, a tyrant. No one likes him. And it's said that he is a god king, that he is immortal, but the truth is that the thing that is making him immortal is the crown. So if the crown is removed from his head, then he can be killed. And actually, the person who hired Ari to remove the crown is Mikhail, and he's another one of our main characters, and he's the king's spy master. And so we first meet Mikhail through Yuan's chapter perspectives. Yuan is the prince and younger brother of the king, but he has been hiding out for 3 years in a random village because he did something bad and he got sent to prison. And he ended up escaping, and so he's just been hiding out. And so Mikhail tracks down Yuan because he wants Yuan to help him kill the king, and if the king dies, then Yuan, being the prince, would take over. So that's 4 of our main characters, and then our 5th character is Sora. And Sora is an assassin. She's a poison assassin. And she works for this lord, and her parents sold her off to this lord because they were poor and they needed money. And along with taking her, the lord also took her younger sister to use as leverage against Sora. So if Sora ever does anything wrong, the lord will punish her sister. So that pretty much keeps Sora from running away and makes her complete her jobs. And at the beginning of the book, Sora learns that her next target is the king. And at first she thinks this is a joke because she believes he's immortal and that he's untouchable. But the Lord's like, no, I'm serious. This is your next target. And he says that if she can kill the king, then her and her sister will be free to go to live their lives as they please. And so she's pretty much thinking this is a death sentence, but she doesn't really have a choice. She has to do it because if she doesn't, then her sister will be punished. And so either way, she has to do it. So she ends up going to travel with the Lord's only son to the city where she is going to meet up with these other people. And so that's the point where I'm at, where all these characters are traveling to this certain destination where they're all going to end up meeting up. And so now for my first thoughts, I am enjoying it so far. It's very character focused right now. There's been a lot of focus on just getting to know the characters and who they are. And there has been some action though. There's already been a scene with pirates. And so far my favorite character is Irie because you don't get her perspective right away. So it's chapter 7 when you get her first perspective. And I feel like she was such a breath of fresh air because before that, the characters were all interesting, but they're all so very serious and grim. And she is just so bubbly, and she just really brought a breath of fresh air and some sunshine into the story. And she comes across as a little bit naive, but I don't think that she actually is. And I'm just loving her so much. And she interacts with Oreo, and you can see right from the very beginning that she finds him attractive and he kind of finds her attractive, but they're both trying to focus on their task. He's trying to keep her alive and she's trying to focus on getting to the destination so she can do this job. And then that's the other thing about this book is that there is already romance set up for all the characters. So you have Oreo and Aerie who are set up and their romance looks like it's going to be super cute. And then you have a second chance romance with the Prince Yoon and Mikhail because they were together before and had feelings for each other. But then Yoon got sent to jail and he always expected Mikhail to come rescue him, but Mikhail didn't, so he is kind of still not over that. But it's also very clear that they still both have feelings for each other, so that's already been very angsty. And then Sora, who is traveling with the lord who owns her son, seems like there's going to be a relationship between the two of them because they're slowly getting to know each other. And she's always thought like he was a horrible person just like his father, but now she's kind of learning that might not be the case and some of it might have been an act. But she's still at the stage where she's like, nope, I don't like him, he's horrible, I'm just putting up with him for now. And then another thing I'm liking about getting all their different perspectives. Each chapter is in first person from a certain character's perspective. And so it's nice to get inside the characters' heads during their perspectives, but also when you're reading the other characters' perspectives and they're talking about another character, you also get to see that other character in a different light. For example, with Oreo and Aerie, she sees how dangerous Oreo can be because of him being a hitman, but she's also realizing all these small things that show that he also has a gentle side as well. And then with Prince Yoon and Mikhail, you get to see how much Yoon has already changed, because Mikhail mentions a couple times, he's like, oh, like, Yoon never would have done this 3 years ago. So that's really interesting to see as well. So yeah, those are pretty much all my thoughts at the moment. I'm excited to read more about these characters and to see where the story goes from here. And I'm hoping to read more today. It looks like it might be really nice out, so maybe I'll go outside and do some reading. But I also have some editing I need to do. I also need to go marinate my chicken for chicken ramen that I'm going to be making for dinner tonight. So I'll have to see how much time I have. And I would also like to do a little arts and crafts. So I bought origami paper because I've seen on Pinterest people make make these little origami swords. I want to try my hand at that, even though I've never done much origami in my life, so I don't know how well that's gonna go. But, so I bought this from Amazon, and I got this, and then my husband's like, oh, I know how to make a paper crane. And I was like, you know how to do origami? So I learned something new about my husband. He is apparently very good at origami. So he made this little crane for me, and then he also went and made a dragon. So I was like, my husband is like an origami master, and I didn't know it. But, so hopefully I'll get to that today. Hopefully I'll be successful, but we'll see. And one other thing, I did get some books from Amazon. So I'm going to do a little unboxing of these. So, I got Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. And Funny Story by Emily Henry. So, I read a lot of fantasy, clearly, as you can see by all my reading vlogs that have fantasy books. But sometimes I like to take a fantasy break and just read some contemporary romance, and I feel like that break is going to need to happen soon. So I bought these two because I've read most of Emily Henry's books. I've read all of them except for People on Vacation, and well, this new one. So I bought Funny Story, so I'm really excited to read this. And then I also bought Just for the Summer because I read Abby Jimenez's book, Part of Your World, last year, and I loved that, so I really want to read this. And these two books are like summaries, so I was figuring I could do like a fun, cute little summary reading vlog with these two. So that is that. The next clip you see will probably be B-roll of me trying to make an origami sword, but who knows, it could be also something else, but I will eventually be back with another update. So, I did end up making the origami sword, and it was an adventure. It was definitely a journey. And so I first sorted through my origami paper and just looked at all the different designs and chose some that I thought matched the cover of the book well. And after choosing out which paper design I wanted, I pulled up a tutorial and started trying to make the origami sword. And so my first attempt did not go very well. And so I ended up trying again, and I tried a different tutorial, and again that one went a little better than the first one, but I still ran into problems, and I kept having a problem with like the sword hilts. That part in the videos was like the part that was the hardest to see exactly what they were doing. And so at a certain point with my second attempt, I kind of got frustrated and just made it work, but it still wasn't right. And then so I pulled up a third tutorial and I tried again. And this tutorial seemed clearer and easier to understand than the other two, but again, when I got to the sword hilt, there were like some folding things going on that I couldn't quite decipher. And so the third attempt was better than the first and the second, but it still wasn't quite right. And then using the same tutorial, because I like this tutorial the best so far, I end up trying again. And finally, the fourth try was a charm. It still took me a little bit to figure out the hilt, but I did end up finally figuring it out. And it definitely looked better than my second and third attempt. So I was happy with how the fourth one turned out. I will say that I did struggle a little bit doing this and did get frustrated and almost gave up, but I am happy that I continued on, and those videos definitely make this look a lot easier than it is, or maybe I'm just not very good at origami. But here is also just a picture of what my 4 attempts looked like. So the first one was just complete failure. The second one kind of looks like a sword, but you can tell I made some stuff up on that one. And then the third one looks better than the second, but still not quite right. And then the fourth one definitely looks the best out of the four. Still not 100% perfect, but I was happy with the way it turned out. Hi, so it is now Saturday. My last update was on Tuesday, and I just wanted to give a quick update before I have to head off to work because I am flying through this book. I'm currently on chapter 55, page 329, and I've just been loving this. And I just read a part that was like so good. It was like so action-packed, and the characters have already warmed their way into my heart. And in particular, as I mentioned before, Ari is still my favorite character, but I also really love Oreo as well. He's the hitman that she hired to guard her, and the two of them together, they are just so cute and sweet, and you can see them like falling in love with each other, but also trying to like kind of fight it. And reading about their interactions just like makes me want to giggle and kick my feet. Like their relationship in this book feels like you're reading a relationship in like a contemporary romance. It's just give me such like the warm fuzzies. Oh, and I also realized that Ari and Royo definitely have the grumpy sunshine dynamic going on. Like she's so sunshiny and he's kind of serious and grumpy, and I always love that trope, so that makes sense why I'm loving them. And then I'm also really enjoying Ewan and Mikhail's chapter perspectives as well. And they are the more like angsty romance of the book series. And then I would say Sora is the character whose chapters I'm least interested in. It's not that her chapters are bad, but I feel like not as exciting things happen in her character's perspective, and she also has like a potential love interest, but I just find her and that love interest the least interesting of our cast. And speaking of that love interest, I know that I mentioned earlier that there are 5 different character chapter perspectives in this book, but now we've also gotten a couple chapters from the love interest for Sora. And again, like Sora, I think his character is fine, but I also just don't find him as interesting as the rest of the characters in this book. And so yeah, I'm just really loving this. It's super fast-paced. The chapters in here are really short, so it's really easy to like read one chapter and then just be like, oh, I'm gonna read just one more chapter and then just one more, and before you know it, you've read like 100 pages. And at this point in the book, the characters have all met up, and it was around chapter 23, page 225, where all the characters met up, so now they're all together. So the book is even more fun and interesting now that they've all met up, and it's just fun to like get everyone's different perspectives and to try to figure out what is going on, because they're all keeping secrets from each other, and those secrets could affect the way things happen and what goes down. And in particular, Ari is always talking about her father. I'm very curious to know who her father is and if his identity will end up playing a role in this. And I feel like since it hasn't really revealed who he is yet, I'm feeling that he might be an important person in this world. And it was when I was reading this yesterday when my feelings went from really enjoying this book to loving it, and it was at the end of chapter 42 when my feelings went from enjoying this book to loving it. There's something that happens at the end of chapter 42 that's just like crazy. And I was reading that part when I was at work, and once I finished that chapter, I only had about 4 minutes left of my break, and I really wanted to continue on, but I couldn't because I had to go back to work, so I was like, it's not smart to start another chapter now. And so I went back to work, and then I actually didn't get to read more of this until this morning, but it's just so good. And so yeah, I am loving this. That's all my thoughts for now. And I just wanted to come on here and give my thoughts now because I have a feeling that I am just going to end up binging the rest of this and reading it really fast. And so I need to go finish getting ready for work, but my next update will be my final thoughts about this book. Hi, so I'm back and I have finished 5 Broken Blades. I ended up loving this. It's getting 5 stars. And I feel like for this one, the characters really shone in this book, and that's what made me love the book, was the characters. And even the 2 characters I mentioned before, Sora and Tai, that I found least interesting, grew on me by the end of this book. And they're still kind of at the bottom of my favorite character list. But what I really liked was Sora at the end. She is kind of the one that gives our characters hope again, because this is the first book in a series. So of course this ends on a cliffhanger. There is a plot twist near the end of this book that was crazy, and I was expecting something to happen, but I wasn't expecting things to turn out the way that they did. And the plot twist, it was really well done. But it also kind of made me sad, because throughout this book you have our characters getting to know each other, and they know they're all keeping secrets from each other. But still they kind of start trusting each other, and they start feeling like a sense of found family with each other. But then the plot twist like ruins all that, so they're kind of back to square one by the end of the book. So yeah, I love the characters. My favorite characters are definitely Eri and Oreo. I just love their dynamics so much. I love their very slow burn romance that they have going on and throughout this book. And I also just really love their Grumpy Sunshine dynamic. And this book is very character focused, so if you're more of a plot reader, this might not be for you, but then there are some crazy plot twists at the end, and even though this is character focused, it moves along really fast and things are always happening. And so I never once got bored while reading this book, because there was always so much going on, either stuff happening in the plot, like at one point some of our characters get attacked by pirates, or just reading about the characters and the relationships with each other kept my interest the entire time as well. And so overall, I would definitely recommend this if you like fast-moving books, if you like books with multiple perspectives, and if you like books that are very character-driven. So if you have read this, let me know down below what you thought about it. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye!